So in this class we'll try to understand few transformations. So let's start with union transformation.
Okay.
Union transformation is an active and connected transformation, and using union transformation you can union the data from multiple sources, right? So basically using union transformation you can union the data from multiple sources which are having a similar structure, right? So we have this union available in the database. So in the database we have uh, you know union available with two options. So let us see the options. So I'll say select star from emp union select star from emp. So basically I'm pulling, I'm trying to union the same table twice.
Mm.
See, when I try to do that, so it's going to give me 14 records as output. But each table is having 14 records, right?
Right.
So each time when you pull the data, it should come 14 records should come. So the total should be 28 records, right?
Right.
But it has given only 14 records because see, union will give only the unique records from both the tables. See, when you use union, it gives only the unique records from both the tables. Since you are unioning the same table twice, so it gives the output, one set of output, right, from both the tables. So let us do union all now. So I'm just doing the same thing again, but all I'm going to change is I'm going to change the keyword as union all instead of union. So see, in this case when I use union all, it has union both the data together and it has given the output, right?
Right.
So the union all will give the data from both the tables, without considering um, the unique records. But when you do union, it's going to merge the data and display only the unique records from both the tables, right?
Right.
So this is how union uh, will work in SQL. But now let's understand how this union transformation will work in Informatica, right? So union transformation in Informatica, it works like a union all command in SQL. So basically, it's going to give the data from both the tables without considering unique records. So without you know filtering out the duplicate records, it's going to give all the records, and it works like a union all. So now, so same way how I did it in database. Let me take the employee table twice. So I'll just take the employee table
Right.
twice, and I'm gonna take the union transformation. See, this is the union transformation. Or you can go to union, sorry, transformation, say create, select the union transformation from the list, name the transformation, and create it. Done. So now, see, I'm going to drag the columns from one source to the union transformation. See, right. So when I drag the columns from one source, it has created two groups. One group which will only take the input, and the other group will
Output.
give the output, right? So edit the union transformation, go to groups,
Excuse me.
and see, we have one group which is already,
Called new group.
you have one group which is already created. So create one more group. So this group is for second source, right? So see here, So you have one more group available now with the same structure like
Right.
the group 1, right? So when you create more groups here, when you create more groups in the
Mm.
union transformation, right? So you will have more input groups available with the same structure. So which you can directly connect to the source like this.
Okay.
So you see now two sources connected to the union transformation, and you can take the
Okay.
output directly from here,
So quick question. In the unit,
right? So since there is no big logic
quick
involved,
question.
please.
Could you have created rows in the
Yes.
union transformation and then select from the second table and drag it to there? Would that be too much work than creating?
Yes. So you are asking, so can
Right.
we create the columns in the union transformation and drag it, right? Yes. Yes, we can do it. So I'll just do one thing. See, go to edit. So I'll go to ports. So here group ports. So in union transformation you have to go to group ports. See, I'm
Right.
gonna delete this department number column. See, I just deleted it and said okay. See now what happened? So department number is
Right.
deleted and not connected from the source. Right? So now let me just create a port and connect it. So I'll just create the same port and connect it.
Right.
So it's decimal, right? So I'll just say it as decimal and the length is 2 and say okay. So then now department port is available. See, you can just drag it and connect it like this. Right? Oh, it has created one more column. So when I dragged it, it has took it as one more column. So let me just, so I'll just delete that column like this. So okay, right. So
Okay.
right. So see here, like this, I can, you know, connect, uh, create the columns in the union transformation and connect it from the source. So which does mean that, so some say that, both the structure of both the sources should be same. So even though it's not same, you can
Right.
use the union transformation and you can connect the columns from the source. So I'll just give you a small example. So in this case, see, I'm gonna delete a
Right.
column from source 2, right? See, source 2 I have just deleted a column, but source 1 I have column by name department number, and source from source 1 I have connected the column department number.
Right.
Source 2 I didn't connect it because I don't have it, right? So what's going to happen is, see, source 1 it's going to give all the values to all the columns, and source 2 department number value will be null, right? So I'll just do the load and just show you how it works. So I'll take the target and connect the take the output. So take the output from the output ports of union transformation and save it. Now let's go to workflow manager and
Right. Right.
this is just the same way how we do it for other transformations. See, in this case, see, you have two source qualifiers available, right?
Right.
Because you have two sources available here, right? So you are reading the data from multiple sources. So you have two source qualifiers available. Make sure you give the connections for both the sources. like this. So maybe you are reading from the same table, so you just give the same connection strings for both the tables, so that you know the session can create a connectivity and read the data. So I just saved it. So let me use the truncate table option, so that it truncates the data and load it again, and we understand it better. So I'll just start this.
28.
So it got succeeded. 14 records from each source. So 14 plus 14 became 28 records it has loaded to the target. So let's connect it to the target schema and explore the table and see here the source 2 data doesn't has department number, but the source 1 data is
Right.
having department number, right? So all it has done is just union the data,
No.
right? So any questions on union transformation?
So even though source
So
even though source
let's you know
one
we have
schema
discussed
do not
that
have
union
department numbers,
transformation is an
but
active
the output will still give will still give
please.
from department numbers that's taken from source 2, correct? Okay.
Hmm.
Right.
Correct. So see here,
Source 2.
only these records came from right from here. It came from source 2, you know which has got
Right.
department number, and it has taken the department number. And the first 14 record does not has department number because it's not connected basically, right? So uh, this is how union transformation works, and you don't need to give any condition in the union transformation. See, like other transformations, all you need to do is just
So
drag the
union
columns
transformation
from
is
the
acting as a
source
sort of filter
and
to the
take the
data.
output from the uh, output window.
Good. No.
Now, see, union transformation is an active transformation. You know, there is no proper reason which says union transformation is an active transformation. But see, because see, if you see the
Correct.
functionality, all it's doing is, uh, uh, you know, reading the data from multiple sources and giving the output, right? So, data from the multiple sources can
Right.
be, uh, now in this case, we have 14 records from source 1 and 14 records from source 2, right? So, and if you see the output, it has given
Right.
28 records as output. So which means it has given all the records that is given as input into the union transformation, right? So 14 records came from source 1 and 14 records came from source 2. Union transformation has given 28 records as output. So which means, see, all the records that are sent into the
Yes,
union
but
transformation are given as output. Is that clear?
okay. Okay.
But it is still called as an active transformation, you know, because I'll just show you why it is called as an active transformation. So let's go through the PPT and understand why it's called as an active transformation. Right. So if you see this,
Right.
we have data from both the sources available, and union transformation has two groups, group 1 and group 2. So let us see how union transformation is going to read the data from source systems and give the output. See, understand this. So the one record it has taken from group 1, and so first two records it has taken from group 1, and next record it has taken from group 2, and again it has taken the data from group
Right.
1, and then it has taken the data from group 2. So if you see here, the data from both the groups are parallelly read, right? So Now in this case what happens, so first time when you execute the session which has union transformation, so it reads the data like this: first two records from
Okay.
source 1, next three records from source 2, and again five records from source 1, and again 10 records from source 2. Let's say it's reading the data like this, and it loaded the data into the target, and the mapping has got succeeded, so everything went fine. So let's assume next time you are running the mapping with the same data again. So this time it may read first 25 records from source 1, then 20 records from source 2,
Okay.
then next 25 records from source 1, then another 15 records from source 2. So it's randomly picking the data from source 1 and source 2. So across the mapping runs, it's not following the same rule to take, the data from both the sources. It may randomly pick the data from both the sources. So ultimately, across the mapping runs, across the mapping runs, the
Yes.
the output is not in the same way how it was given in the previous run. So in this run, in the second run,
This
the order of the
two,
output,
five, five.
right, will not be in the same way how it was in the previous run. See, if you see here, the order is employee number 1 3 6 4, then 2 5.
Okay.
So next time when you try to run, it may come in a different way. It may come saying 1 2 3 6 5 4. So it may come in a
Okay.
different way. So the order of the data can be changed in the in across the mapping runs in when you use union transformation.
Yes.
So this might be one of the reason why
Okay.
it is called as an active
Okay.
transformation. But otherwise, in union transformation, you cannot reduce or increase the number of rows between input and output, right? But if you see the other transformation expression, you cannot change the order of the row. Filter transformation, you cannot change the order of the row. And you see aggregator transformation, you know it changes the order of the row, but
Right.
you have control on it. So based on the option that you have selected, it's gonna change the order of the row, and across the mapping runs it should be the same, right? So sorter also it works the same way, and rank transformation also it works the same way. See, any other transformation, we have a
Okay.
option to control the order of the row across the mapping runs, but union transformation we don't have the option to
Yeah,
do so,
that's good.
right? So this is all about union transformation. So any questions on union transformation? Okay. So let's move on to next transformation. Okay. So now we'll go to
Okay.
normalizer transformation, right? And also understand how can we read the data from the flat files, and how can we write the data to the flat files. So we'll understand two things in this example. We'll understand how to use the normalizer transformation, and also we will understand how you can read the data from the source files, and how can you write the data to the source files. So normalizer transformation is an active and connected transformation, and normalizer
Okay.
transformation is used to read the data from the COBOL sources, and also it is used to do the data pivoting. So it can be used for two purposes. One is reading the data from the COBOL sources, and the next one
Global
is
sources. Yeah.
to do the data pivoting. So now let's understand what is this data pivoting, right? So data pivoting means, see this, so see the data
Right.
here. So it has account number, name, account type, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter
Right.
3, and quarter 4. So you have some data. So you have the data which belongs to RAM for 4 quarters, right? for quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4. So data pivoting is something like converting the
Right.
source columns into target rows, right? I'll just show you the pivoted data. See here, see the data pivoted data. So for account holder RAM, there are 4 records, each record for each quarter. So basically these quarters are available as columns in the source, which is converted to rows in the target, right? So see, RAM has 4 records in the pivoted data. So each record for each quarter, but when you see in the source, it has 4 columns, which each column indicates each quarter, right? So this is called data pivoting, converting you know source columns into target rows. Now let us see how can we use normalizer transformation for reading the COBOL sources. But in this case, I don't have connectivity with the mainframe
Right.
systems,
Yeah.
so I'll just create a dummy
While you're
COBOL
doing that, very
source
quick
and
question:
just show
what is
you,
COBA?
how normalizer
Or COBA
comes
source? And
is used to read the COBOL sources. I'll just
okay,
create a dummy vsam source. uh, right, it's a mainframe source. It's a mainframe source actually. So vsam, so you can call the mainframe source as vsam source as well.
yeah,
So I'll just name it as vsam source. I'm just creating it. So this is a dummy one. I'm just creating it manually. I'll just create few columns like this and say OK. So I just saved it. So now see this vsam source. When I drag this vsam source
right.
into the mapping, it comes along with normalizer transformation. See, this is normalizer transformation which has come along with the vsam source. Like the way when we drag the database sources, source qualifier is coming to read the data, right? Same way, when you drag the vsam source, normalizer transformation is the one which column comes along with vsam source to read the data. So this is just an example. I don't have a setup to show you how does it reads the vsam sources.
Almost.
So I'll just delete it. So it just comes along with the vsam sources. So now let us see how can we do data pivoting using normalizer transformation, right? So um, in this example, I'm going to read the flat file source and I'm going to write the data to the flat file source, flat file target. So we already know that we have some data which has to be pivoted in the flat file. See, normalizer is the flat file where I have some data which I can use to do the data pivoting. So what I will do is I'll try to import the structure of this flat file and then read the data from this file and write to one more file, right? So now go to
Okay.
the source analyzer. So all these days we know how to import the data from the import the metadata or the structure of the tables from database. Now let's understand how can we do it from the flat file. See, import from the file, go to the location where all your files are available. See, I'm going to
Right.
all files. See, so normalizer is a file where I wanted to read the data.
Hmm.
So just select the file and see, you have the column names in the column names as the header, right? Account number, name. So these are column names. So just say import field names from the first line, right? Which means it will take the field names from the first line and it will start reading from the second line. See, first line it's gonna read the header, the column names, and from second line it's going to read the data. And also see here there are some options like whether the flat file is
Okay.
delimited or fixed width. So if the flat file is delimited, just select it as
Okay.
delimited. So delimited file is the file. See in this file, this is a delimited file which is delimited by comma. So comma is the column delimiter. So, every column is delimited by
Let's
comma.
come on, right.
So you just select it's a delimited flat file and say next and
Okay.
select the proper
Okay.
delimiter here. So which one is the delimiter in the flat file? It was comma, right? So I just selected comma. So if I remove comma, see, if I
Right.
remove comma, Informatica is identifying all the columns as a single field, the entire data as a single field. So it's not able to identify which is the field delimiter. So if you say comma, it will identify the fields properly, right? And also you have other options like treat consecutive delimiters as one. So if I have comma comma, two commas consecutively, treat it as
Mhm.
one. So it's based on the source structure, how your source is available. So that way you can define it. And then if you see here, text
Mhm.
qualifier. So if you have quotes in your source data, so in this
Right.
case we don't have any sort of codes available for our data. So select none, no quotes, we don't have any quotes. So if there are double quotes, you can select double quotes. If there is single quotes,
Okay.
you can select single quotes, right? Then just say next. So it has taken the column names from the first line. See, account number, name, account type, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3 and quarter 4. So it has taken the names of these columns from first line.
Right.
And also see, it has decided the um, data type. So based on the data available, it has decided the data type. See, account number it selected as numeric, name it has selected as text, account type it has selected as text, again quarters it selected as numeric. So if you want to change it, you can change it. So by default, Informatica will analyze the data in the source file and it will you know um, decide the data type. So I'll just say finish now. See, I have the structure of the flat file available. See what type of source is it? Normalizer is a
Right.
flat file source. See, it's showing it as a flat file, right? So this way you can import the structure of the flat file to Informatica. So now, so this structure is used to read the data from the source, right? So I'll use this structure to read the data from the source, but I need to write the data to the target, which is also a flat file, right? So let me just create a flat file. So in this case, I'll just show you how to create a flat file structure using the um, structure available in the source. So I have the source structure available in the source. So what I can do is see, I can simply drag the source structure to the target designer, right? So now I have the same structure available in target as well. Now I will edit this structure. So my source, how should my source look? My target flat file look.
Uh,
Just see the output.
okay.
See,
Can
it
you
should
go
look
back
like
over
this.
that? Your screen
So
did
it
not load
has
fast enough when
account
you were
number,
talking, so I didn't
account name, account
see.
type,
I didn't quite
month
follow.
and amount. So quarter and amount. So I'll say like this.
I see the table where you
Which
edit
quarter?
table. That's what I'm seeing now.
And okay, right.
Normalize.
So are you able to see now?
Right.
Right. So I'm actually editing the table. I'll just go back. I'll just say cancel. Go back. So did you see from here we have dragged the um, structure of the
Mm.
source to the target?
Account type.
Yes. So we have
Okay.
dragged the structure
Right.
of the source
And the
to the
amount. Okay.
target.
Okay.
Now see here how should our target look? So it should look like this. So account number, account name, and account type, and quarter, which quarter is it, and then the amount that is saved in the
Okay.
quarter. So we'll just create,
Right.
edit the structure so that it will have those fields. So I'll just edit it saying so quarter and amount. Amount is also a number, so I'll just remove these two columns. So this is how I should see the data in target, right? So I'll just change the structure like this. Now let's go to the mapping, and so we have the source structure and we have the target structure. So let us drag the source structure into the mapping. See, when I drag the source structure into the mapping, so even though it is a flat file, source qualifier is the one which is going to read the flat files too. So how does source qualifier reads the flat file?
Mm.
It reads the flat file based on the instructions that you have given. What are the instructions that you have given? You have already given instructions saying that this is a delimited flat file and the delimiter is comma and this is the structure of the flat file. So based on these instructions, it's going to read the data, right? Okay. So let's drag the target flat file also into the mapping. So we have dragged the target flat file as well. Now let us take the normalizer transformation into the mapping. So I'm just taking the normalizer transformation into the mapping. So I'll drag the columns from source to normalizer transformation. See here, when I am dragging the columns to normalizer transformation, it's telling cannot copy column to this transformation. So like other transformations, you cannot
Come
copy the
in.
columns to the normalizer transformation. You should be
Account
creating the
type.
columns manually. So go to normalizer port in the normalizer
Yes.
transformation, create the columns manually. So it's account number,
But I thought it was quarter then amount.
account name, and account type, and
Okay.
it's amount, right? Amount. But you know, we'll just change the data types as well.
Mhm. String. Type.
So it's in the target, it's quarter than amount, but here only amount should be fine. Or yeah, amount should be fine.
Was
So
4.
account number is a number, account name is a
Right.
string, and account type is a string. We'll just change it and see the occurrence of the amount. See the source file. So how many times does this amount in the quarter field came? How many times this? Four times, right? Right. There are four occurrences. So change the occurrences to four. So how many occurrences of this kind
Okay.
of column is available? Just mention the occurrences and say okay. See now when you said okay, how it has created the source column separately and target column separately.
Strong.
So the columns with input like this and the columns with only the output like this, right? So now I can connect the columns from the source to the normalizer. So each quarter field is connected to one each amount field in the input fields of normalizer transformation, right? Right. So here among with the other columns, you have two default columns available in the normalizer transformation. So one is
So
GK amount
if you
and
select
other is
all of that output
GCID
and
amount.
and
So
drag
let's
it will
understand
not
what is
connect.
this GKID and
But
GCID.
just drop those
Right.
two.
So first
Okay.
let's connect the output to the target. So account name,
Right.
account type, you know, quarter. So it'll connect. It'll connect. It'll connect. So I'll just show you. See, these
Mm.
are in order, right? So till account type it's in order. I'll select all together and just drag it. And amount I want to connect to the amount field, and quarter I am connecting it to GCID amount. So why I will tell you. Why I am connecting it, I'll tell you. right? So I have just done the mapping. So now let me just create a session for this.
Right.
So generally, if it is a database, we'll edit and give the connection string, right?
Data.
See, if you are reading the data from the database and loading the data to the database, what would we do? We will give the connection strings, right? So in this case, since this is a flat file, right? So you cannot give the connection strings. See, it's not a relational file to give the connection strings. It's a flat file. So when it is a flat file, what should you do is, see, give the path of the flat file where it is existing. So where it is existing, it's in D drive, right? It's in D drive, and the name is normalizer.txt. So see, give the path of the file where it is existing like this, and name of the file with extension, right? Normalizer.txt is the file name with full extension, and D drive is the directory where this file is existing. So just provide the details of the address and name of the files to read the file. Same way to write the file, output file directory. Just give where do you want to write the file, and just give the name of the file. I'll say norm underscore out dot txt. So
TXT.
when you want to read the data from the source file, the source file should be existing in the path with the same name. But when you want to write the, you know, write the output, so Informatica will create a flat file with name norm underscore out dot txt, and then it writes the data. It writes the data based on the structure that you have provided. See, if you see here, there is no existing fat file by name norm underscore out. We have the source flat file, but target flat file is not available. But Informatica is going to create a flat file on this place, and it's going to write the data, right? So let me just start the execution. So I'll go to normalizer transformation. See here,
For
3 records were read from the source, and out of which 12 records were written to the target. So which means each record has 4 occurrences. So it will create 1 record for each occurrence. So which has created 12 records out of 3 records. So 3 into
right.
4 it is 12
Yes.
records. So let's see the output here.
Right.
See, it has created a flat file and written the output. Let's open it and see. See here, it has written account number, name, account type, and see this 1 2 3 4. So this is
Right.
GCID which we have connected here. So the
Two,
GCID which we
three,
have connected to the quarter
four.
field. So basically, so this GCID is the one which is automatically generated by the normalizer transformation. It just gives a number for each occurrence. So for a record, it has 4 occurrence, right? So it has given
Okay.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
And what does
For
GA
again, for the next
G
record, it starts from 1, 2, 3, 4.
what does
So
GAC
likewise,
stands for?
it just gives the number of occurrence. So whether it's a third
Okay,
occurrence or the
I'll
fourth
find out.
occurrence, so it just gives the number of occurrence.
Okay.
So that is how
Uh,
GCID can be used. Let us now see how.
okay.
I am not really sure about it. I'll just try to know about it and I'll let you know. Right, right. So let us now see how this GKID you know, is used. So I'm just connecting GKID instead of GCID. I'll just refresh the session since I did a change to the mapping. I'll just start the task. Right. So let us go to the output and see now. See now how this
Okay.
GKID worked. So it has
Right.
generated numbers continuously for all the records. So GKID gave 1 2 3 4. and again started 1 2 3 4. For each record it has given the number of the occurrence, but here it just gives the running sequence, right? So this is what GKID and GCID does in
Yes,
normalizer
sir.
transformation. So basically normalizer transformation is used to do the data pivoting and read the data from the COBOL
Okay.
sources, right? So since it's changing the number of input and output rows, it's called as active transformation. Is it clear? Right. So we'll go to next transformation. Right. So now we'll try to understand update strategy transformation, which is a very important transformation. So update strategy transformation is an active and connected transformation,
Yes.
and update strategy transformation is used to do the inserts, updates, deletions, and rejects on the database. So all these days when we are working, all we
Right.
did is insert the data into the target and verify the output, right? We never did any kind of updates. All we did is just inserts, right? So even though we didn't tell anywhere, we didn't specify anywhere that you do the insert or you do the update, right? So it was doing inserts all these days, right? So let us see what was that option which was inserting the data all these days. See, I'll go to the other session which is created for filter. If I go to the properties, see here I have something called treat
Inserts.
source
Okay.
rows as. So what does it says? Treat source rows as insert, right? So because of this default option available all these days, it was considering the source rows as input. Sorry, insert. So we have other options as well available. So which is delete the treat source rows as delete or update or data driven, right? So first let's try to understand delete, insert, and update. How can we use these options to insert, update, and delete? So later we can understand what is data driven, right? So using the session level options available, so these are the session level options available. So using the session level options available, we can do updates, inserts, and deletes on the database, right? So by default it's saying insert. So here session is telling treat all the source rows as insert. So session is just telling somebody that treat source rows as insert, but who is actually inserting the data? See, if you go to the mappings, if you go to targets, see
Right.
there are there are options available for you. So this target instance is the one which is actually inserting the data, and this session is telling the target instance to treat source rows as insert. So here you have some options available. See here, insert, update as update, update as insert, update else insert, delete, truncate table option.
Okay.
So we know what is truncate table option. So if you just select it, every time when you run the session,
Let me
you
just
know,
let
the
me just
target table
understand
will be
this
truncated, and then
very well. The
data will be loaded.
truncate
So we know this option.
option.
And the other
Must we
option,
do it,
so
or
other
that is
there
just for
are other
convenience?
5 options available, which is
Oh,
insert, update as update, update as insert, update else insert, and delete. So let's try to understand one by one.
right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So generally we use this truncate option every time when it is a trunk load. Let us say I'll just tell you a scenario where it can happen. So let's say like this. So I'll get the
Right.
data from source where I will read the data and I am loading to a stage table. And from the stage table, the data moves to the dimension table, right? So
Okay.
when the data is moved to the dimension table, I don't need to
Yes. Yes.
retrieve this data on the
Makes
stage
sense.
table, right? So in this case, I can use the trunk load. So whenever I do the fresh load, truncate the CSV table and load the data. So which will move to the dimension table.
Right.
Is that clear? So you will basically use this option only when you wanted to, clear out the previous data which is loaded through the previous load and then do the fresh load. Right? Okay. So now
Yes.
let's understand about these options. So there is an option by name insert and there is a checkbox. So see, if you select treat rows as insert and this checkbox is enabled, this insert checkbox is enabled,
Insert.
all the records are directly gonna come to this particular option and all the records will be considered only for the inserts. So you have selected the option inserts treat rows as inserts. So session is telling this particular target instance that treat all the source rows as insert. So all the records will come to this particular option and get inserted. So
Insert.
our target instance is going to write an insert script to insert the data in this case. Let's assume I'm I have unchecked this option and I have insert treat source rows as insert selected.
Right.
So all the records will come to this particular flow, but the option is not enabled, right? So the session will not be able to do any inserts on the data. So when you select insert there, you have to select this checkbox so that session will insert the data, right? So now let's try to understand how to delete the data. So next option is delete. So when I select this delete option, so
Right.
session is telling the target instance to delete all the records, to consider all the source records for deleting. So all the records will come to this particular flow. Session will write a delete statement and delete the data, no? Considering if the data is already available,
Right.
right? It's gonna delete the data from the target table. And the other option is, so even though the other options are checked, when you select the delete option here, all the records will directly come to the delete flow, right? So now let's see update flow. So when you select update here, so all the records will come to update as update. So you have three options here for update. So see, at any point of time you can select only one option, not all the three, right? So let's understand this now. So update as update. So update as update means, so all the records are considered only for pure update. So it will come try to update the data. And next is update as insert. So it will try to update the data. So if it doesn't find the primary key value to update, then it will send that record to insert flow again. So it tries to first update the data. If it doesn't find the record to update the data, then it sends the value to the insert flow. And
Okay.
insert flow will write an insert statement for that records and insert it. So basically try to
Yes.
update it, otherwise send it to insert flow which will insert the data.
Yes, please.
And next is update else insert. So regarding this one particular option we will discuss in the advanced topics, right?
Right.
So is it clear now how can we do insert, update and deletes on the session level, right? Okay, so now we'll see one more option by name target load type. So all these days we left it as bulk, right? So when you are using update strategy, change it to the normal, because
Okay.
see, generally it should be normal, not only update strategy. So bulk is something like you are dumping the data into the database. You are not writing any transaction log, you know you're not verifying for anything. So if you have constraints and indexes on the target table, you cannot select this bulk option, right? So bulk is something like dumping the data into the database. So it will not write any transaction log, it will not verify for any constraints, it cannot create any index for the records which are inserting, right? So bulk is something like, so you
Right.
you can use it only when your target has no constraints, no indexes, like that, right? So otherwise you have to use normal. So in these options, so we have understood insert, delete and update, right? Now let's try to understand data driven. So data driven is something like session is not going to tell the target instance to insert, update or delete. So update strategy transformation, which is used in the mapping, will tell the session, will tell the target instance to treat the source rows in, you know to update, delete or insert. So basically in the session level, it's telling however the
Right.
update strategy tells you in the mapping, same way you treat the records. So this data driven come by default when you use update strategy transformation in the mapping. So when you use update strategy in the mapping, by default data driven will be selected in the session level, right? So now let's try to use update strategy transformation and see how we can create a mapping for inserts, updates, etc. But remember one thing, when you are using update strategy transformation, or you know when you
Right.
wanted to do some updates, make sure your target table has a primary key. So without having a primary key on the target table, you cannot do any kind of updates or deletes, right? So right? So if you want to delete the data, you have to search which data has to be deleted, right? So for that, primary key is required. So I'll just create a mapping for update strategy, right? So as discussed, update strategy is an active and connected transformation which is used to insert, delete, update and reject the records. So right now in the targets which I don't have the primary key available. So I have a target available in the target database. Let me try to pull the target into Informatica. See, I have a target by name emp underscore update which has primary key available. See the instance. So it has primary key available on employee number. See, it has primary key available on the employee number. So I'll use this as a target now. So I'm dragging the source into the mapping and dragging the target into the mapping, and this is update strategy transformation, or I can go to transformations and import it. So update strategy,
Right.
say create, done. So drag all the columns from source to update strategy and update strategy to the
Right.
target. So we just connected all the columns, right? So edit the update strategy transformation now. Go to properties and update strategy expression. So here is where you will tell how to treat the data. So by default there is something called zero, right? Zero means insert the data. So you can use keyword to insert the data. The keyword is dd underscore insert to insert the data. See, dd underscore insert to insert the data, or you can say zero which will also insert the data. For updating the data, it's dd underscore update, or you can say 1 to update the data, and next is dd underscore delete to delete the data, or you can say 2 to delete the data, and next is dd underscore reject to reject the data, or you can say 3 to reject the data. So here I'll say dd underscore insert. So I just said dd underscore insert, so which means it has to insert all the data.
Right.
So now let me create a session for this. So s underscore updt, I'll say create. So I'll select the update strategy mapping which I have created. See, this is the one I have created, update strategy. So I'll select update strategy, save OK. So like the other way how I do it for the other sessions, let me just you know give the credentials to connect to the database. So source emp is the table, and I need to select the normal mode to run in normal mode, and I'd say target is the
Right.
schema, and emp and underscore update is the table. So I'll go to properties now. See, data driven is the one which is selected by default. So when I use the update strategy transformation, by default data driven will be selected, because update strategy will drive how the updates and inserts should happen, not in the session level. So we can basically do the updates, inserts and deletes in two ways: one by using update strategy in the mapping level, or using the options that are available in the session level. Anyways, two ways we can do. See any other sessions what is there by default. Insert. See, let's go to the other session what is there by default. See, insert. So by
Okay.
default is the insert, but when you use update strategy transformation in the mapping, it will be dd underscore, it will be data driven. So you said dd underscore insert, right, in update strategy. So which means data driven underscore insert, right? So however, update strategy says, so do the same way. Now let me
Right.
just see whether there is any data available in this table from emp underscore update.
Right.
So I have some data available. What I would do is I'll just truncate this table. So in this case I cannot use the truncate table option, right? Because I'm doing some updates. If every time I'm just truncating the table, you know, it's useless to do updates, right? So I'm just starting this task.
Yep.
So it has got succeeded.
Right.
So 14 records were read and 14 records were loaded. So let's see the output. See, there are 14 records available in the target. Now let's do a small change in the update strategy. So what did we say? dd underscore insert, right? So now we'll just give a condition. So we'll say if department number is equal to 20,
Okay.
then dd underscore update. Otherwise, else I'll say dd underscore delete. So which means if the record is belong to department number 20, send it for update. Otherwise, send it for delete.
Update.
Clear? So now in the session level, as we have
Right.
discussed previously, let's understand how it happens. See, if the record belongs to department number 20, update strategy is going to send the data to this flow, which will update the data. If it does not belong to department number 20, it will send the data to this flow, which will delete the data. So let me just execute this and show you. See, 14 records read and 14 records are applied. So in which department number 20 records are got updated, remaining got deleted. So before seeing the
Okay.
output, let us see the session log now.
Right.
See, the target instance is writing three queries: one for insert, other for update, and other for delete.
Right.
So however you send the data to whichever operation, it
Right.
can execute it, because it has all the three queries written, right?
Yeah.
So now let's go to the database and see the
Yes,
output.
please.
See, it has only records which belongs to department number 20, right? Because the other records has got deleted because it went to delete flow, right? So now, so did you clearly understand how can we use the update strategy and do the inserts, updates and delete, right? Now Let us see without using
Great.
update strategy transformation, how can we do it? So we have already discussed, right, the options. So I'll just say update here. So see, I'm not using update strategy. So if I'm not using data driven, which means I'm not using update strategy,
Data either.
right? So
Right.
I'll say update here. I'll go to mapping level, target. I will say update else insert. So I'll say update else insert. So which means what? Update the record. If you don't find it, send it to insert flow, right? So update as insert we'll discuss in later classes in advanced topics. So update else insert means you try to update the data. If you don't find the record, send it to insert flow, right? So what are the records available here? So department number 20, right? So I'll just say start it. So now in this case what happens is, so the department number 20 records will come. See, all 14 read and 14 loaded. So in this case what happens is, department number, all the records will come to,
Right.
just a moment, I'll just show you. See, all the records will come to update else insert flow. So it will try to update all the records. But other than department number 20 records will not find a match with the database, because there are no information available in the database right now, right? Only department number 20 records will find a match and get updated. But other records will
Right.
not get find a match. So those records will go to insert flow and get
Yes, please.
inserted. So if you see the output now, see, it has all the records. So department number 20 got updated and remaining records has got inserted.
Okay.
Right? So is it clear on update strategy transformation? Right. So uh, we'll try to end the session today.
Okay.
So please practice on the
And
transformations.
you
If I
told
go
me
ahead
to
now,
download
it's
Toad,
we are gonna
but when I went, they were just
understand
so.
about
Which
little
one would you
advanced
advise me to
things,
download? I have you before you go now.
right? So if you practice it before we go ahead, that will be